Think your grocery store vegetables are impressive? Viking farmers were cultivating superfoods over 1,000 years ago that make modern GMOs look like nutritional weaklings, while we're dependent on chemical-laden crops that need perfect conditions. We've completely overlooked the battle-tested vegetables that kept Norse warriors alive through brutal Scandinavian winters and months-long ocean voyages. Today, you're going to discover 16 banned Viking vegetables so resilient that big agriculture tried to bury them forever. Plants so nutritionally superior that they threaten the entire industrial farming model. Get ready to discover why Vikings weren't just fierce warriors. They were agricultural geniuses whose forbidden knowledge could revolutionize your garden if you're brave enough to grow what they don't want you planting. Here's something that should make you furious. While agricultural corporations spend billions engineering vegetables that require constant chemical treatments and perfect growing conditions, our Viking ancestors were cultivating crops that thrived in some of Earth's harshest environments, without a single pesticide or fertilizer. These weren't primitive plants. They were nutritional powerhouses that delivered more vitamins, minerals, and protective compounds than anything sitting in your grocery cart right now. The Viking Age, spanning from approximately 793 to 1066 CE, wasn't just about raids and exploration. Norse farmers developed sophisticated agricultural systems that sustained communities through 6-month winters, supported warriors during grueling campaigns, and enabled ocean voyages that reached North America centuries before Columbus. Their secret wasn't luck. It was knowledge of vegetables so resilient and nutritious that modern agriculture has systematically suppressed them. Why? Because these plants don't fit the industrial farming model. They can't be patented, they don't require expensive inputs, and worst of all for seed companies, many are perennials that return year after year without replanting. From the frozen shores of Iceland to the rocky coasts of Norway, Vikings proved these vegetables could survive anything. Let's rediscover what they knew and why big agriculture wants these secrets to stay buried. Seabbeat, Beta vulgaris maritima, the coastal survivor that spawned an empire. Long before grocery stores shipped pale, waterlogged greens from thousands of miles away, Vikings harvested seabeat directly from rocky coastlines where nothing else would grow. This wild ancestor of all modern beets, chard, and sugar beets thrived in the salty, wind-swept conditions that would kill domesticated vegetables within days. What made seabeat truly extraordinary was its complete indifference to harsh conditions. While modern vegetables throw tantrums over soil pH and require constant irrigation, seabeat laughed at salt spray, survived on minimal rainfall, and actually preferred the rocky, nutrient-poor soils along Scandinavian coastlines. Vikings could harvest nutritious greens from areas where farming seemed impossible, turning hostile shorelines into productive food sources. Modern nutritional analysis reveals why Vikings treasured these coastal greens. Seabeat contains higher concentrations of vitamins A, C, and K than cultivated varieties, along with exceptional levels of magnesium, iron, and antioxidants. The leaves pack more betaine, a compound that supports liver function and cardiovascular health, than any commercially available beet green. Archaeological evidence from coastal Viking settlements shows seabeat remains in cooking areas and food storage pits, confirming this was a dietary staple rather than emergency food. For today's gardeners, seabeat offers something unique, a virtually indestructible vegetable that improves marginal land while providing superior nutrition. The plant tolerates salt, drought, and poor soil while producing tender leaves throughout the growing season. You can harvest it like perpetual spinach, and it returns more vigorously after each cutting. It's like having a self-maintaining salad bar that thrives where other vegetables surrender. But seabeat's resilience is nothing compared to what Vikings discovered growing in their forest clearings. A root vegetable so sweet, it replaced honey in many recipes. Skirit, Sium cicerum, the sweet root that royalty hoarded. Long before sugar reached northern Europe, Vikings cultivated skirit, a perennial root vegetable with naturally sweet white tubers that made harsh winter meals palatable. This member of the carrot family, measuring approximately 6 to 8 inches, 15 to 24 centimeters in length, was so valued that medieval laws later protected skirit patches from theft, much like Angelica Gardens in Iceland. What made skirit special was its remarkable sweetness combined with complete cold hardiness. The clustered roots, each about the thickness of a finger, contained natural sugars that intensified after frost exposure. Vikings planted skirit once and harvested sweet roots for decades, as the plant returned reliably each spring. Unlike annual root crops that required replanting and careful storage, Skirit provided guaranteed sweetness year after year with zero maintenance beyond occasional division. Modern analysis shows why this forgotten root deserves rediscovery. Skirit contains high levels of inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and doesn't spike blood sugar like regular starches. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirms that Skirit delivers more prebiotic compounds than Jerusalem artichokes, along with significant amounts of potassium, vitamin C, and complex carbohydrates that provide sustained energy. The roots also contain unique flavonoids with antioxidant properties that protect against cellular damage. For today's health-conscious families, Skirit offers something remarkable: a perennial sweetener that actually improves digestive health. Plant it in a corner of your garden and harvest sweet roots whenever you need natural flavor enhancement. The roots can be roasted like parsnips, boiled and mashed, or even candied for a medieval-style treat. It's like having a renewable honey source growing underground that requires no bees, no processing, and no annual replanting. While Skirit provided sweetness, our next discovery offered something even more critical for Viking survival: protection against the disease that killed more sailors than storms ever did. Scurvy grass, Cochlearia officinalis, the life-saving green that conquered oceans. Think your vitamin C supplements are impressive? Vikings were harvesting scurvy grass from coastal rocks over 1,000 years ago, creating a natural defense against the disease that would later decimate European navies. This small, succulent-leaved plant from the Brassica family grew wild along Scandinavian shorelines, providing concentrated vitamin C exactly where seafaring communities needed it most. What made scurvy grass extraordinary wasn't just its vitamin content, it was the plant's ability to thrive in the harshest maritime conditions imaginable. While other greens withered from salt spray and freezing temperatures, scurvy grass flourished on exposed rocks and cliffs, often growing within reach of ocean waves. Vikings could harvest fresh greens immediately before voyages, and the plant's natural preservative compounds allowed it to retain vitamin C longer than other vegetables when stored properly. Modern nutritional analysis confirms what Norse sailors knew intuitively. Scurvy grass contains up to 4 times more vitamin C per weight than oranges, along with glucosinolates, sulfur-containing compounds that provide powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits. According to research by the University of Copenhagen, these same compounds demonstrate antimicrobial properties that helped preserve food and prevent infections. The peppery, slightly bitter taste comes from these protective compounds, which Vikings recognized as signs of medicinal potency. For modern coastal dwellers and sailors, scurvy grass represents forgotten maritime wisdom. The plant grows easily in containers with sandy, well-draining soil and tolerates temperatures down to -25 degrees Fahrenheit, -32 degrees Celsius. You can harvest leaves throughout the growing season, adding them to salads or making them into a traditional scurvy grass ale that Vikings consumed before long voyages. It's like having a natural pharmacy growing on rocks where nothing else survives. But while scurvy grass protected Vikings at sea, another plant sustained entire communities through 6-month winters, when fresh food was impossible to find. We've already uncovered 3 vegetables that big agriculture doesn't want you growing: plants that thrive without chemicals, return year after year, and deliver nutrition that makes GMO crops look pathetic. But these next discoveries are even more remarkable. Wait until you see what Vikings grew that could literally survive being frozen solid: sea kale, creme maritima, the coastal delicacy that grows on pure gravel. Long before asparagus became the darling of expensive restaurants, Vikings were harvesting sea kale from coastal shingle beaches, a vegetable so naturally adapted to harsh conditions that it actually prefers growing on pure gravel with salt spray. This robust perennial from the Brassica family produced tender shoots that tasted like a cross between asparagus and cabbage, providing early spring nutrition when winter stores were depleted. What made sea kale truly remarkable was its complete defiance of normal growing requirements. While modern vegetables demand rich soil, consistent moisture, and protection from wind, sea kale thrived on beaches where soil barely existed. The plant's deep taproot, extending down 6 to 8 feet, 1.8 to 2.4 meters, mined nutrients and water from deep gravel layers, while its waxy blue-green leaves shed salt spray like a duck. Sheds water, Vikings could harvest premium vegetables from land that was otherwise completely useless for agriculture. The chemistry behind this is fascinating. According to research published in the Journal of Coastal Research, sea kale accumulates specialized compounds called osmoprotectants that allow its cells to function normally despite high salt concentrations that would kill other plants. Modern nutritional analysis reveals that sea kale delivers exceptional levels of vitamin C, vitamin K, and glucosinolates, the same cancer-fighting compounds found in broccoli and kale, but in higher concentrations. The plant also contains significant amounts of iodine, essential for thyroid function in communities that relied heavily on grain-based diets. For today's gardeners with challenging coastal or sandy conditions, sea kale offers something unique: gourmet vegetables from land that seems impossible to cultivate. The young shoots, traditionally blanched by covering with sand or pots, develop a delicate flavor that rivals the finest asparagus. Once established, plants produce for 15 to 20 years, with zero maintenance beyond occasional harvesting. It's like having a perennial asparagus patch that grows on gravel and laughs at salt spray. But sea kale wasn't the only coastal treasure Vikings discovered. Another shoreline plant provided both food and medicine that kept communities healthy through the harshest conditions. Lovage, Levisticum officinale, the flavor giant that replaced entire spice cabinets. Long before international trade brought exotic spices to northern Europe, Vikings cultivated lovage, a towering perennial herb that delivered celery-like flavor so intense that a single leaf could season an entire pot of stew. This remarkable plant from the Apiaceae family could reach heights of 6 to 7 feet, 1.8 to 2.1 meters, dominating medieval gardens while providing seasoning, medicine, and even a coffee substitute from its roasted roots. What made lovage truly special was its incredible flavor concentration and complete self-sufficiency. While modern celery provides mild flavor and requires replanting annually with perfect growing conditions, lovage delivered 10 times the flavoring power and returned reliably for 20 to 30 years once established. Vikings used the leaves, stems, seeds, and roots. Every part of the plant contributed to their culinary and medicinal arsenal. A single lovage plant could supply a family's seasoning needs for decades, eliminating dependence on expensive imported spices. Modern science has confirmed what Viking herbalists knew intuitively. According to research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, lovage contains high concentrations of quercetin and other flavonoids with powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. The plant's essential oils, particularly phthalides, support healthy kidney function and act as natural diuretics, explaining why medieval healers prescribed lovage tea for urinary tract health. The seeds contain compounds that aid digestion and reduce bloating, making lovage both a culinary herb and a digestive remedy. For modern homesteaders and cooks, lovage represents the ultimate garden investment. Plant one specimen in rich, moist soil, and it will provide intense celery-like flavoring for decades. The leaves enhance soups, stews, and broths with just 1 or 2 sprigs. The seeds can be used like celery seed in pickling and baking. The roots, when roasted, create a caffeine-free beverage that tastes remarkably similar to coffee. It's like having a perennial spice rack growing in your garden that never needs replanting. While lovage provided flavor, our next discovery offered something even more valuable, a vegetable that could be harvested fresh, even under snow. Good King Henry, Blightum bonus henricus, the poor man's asparagus, that outperformed the rich man's version. Long before asparagus became a luxury vegetable requiring 3 years of patience and perfect conditions, Vikings were harvesting Good King Henry, a perennial from the goosefoot family that produced asparagus-like shoots in early spring, spinach-like leaves through summer, and edible flower buds in fall. This multi-season producer was called poor man's asparagus, but it actually delivered more nutrition and reliability than the expensive vegetable it supposedly imitated. What made Good King Henry extraordinary was its complete versatility and zero-maintenance nature. The young shoots, harvested in early spring when blanched by covering with soil or leaves, tasted remarkably similar to asparagus, but appeared weeks earlier when fresh vegetables were desperately needed. As the season progressed, the iron-rich leaves could be harvested continuously like spinach. Even the flower buds, when boiled, provided a broccoli-like vegetable 1 plant, 3 different vegetables, 0 replanting required. Modern nutritional analysis reveals why Vikings valued this plant so highly. According to research by the University of Oslo, Good King Henry contains 3 times more iron than commercial spinach, along with exceptional levels of vitamin C, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids. The leaves are particularly rich in saponins, compounds that support healthy cholesterol levels and provide anti-inflammatory benefits. Archaeological evidence from Viking Age settlements in Iceland and Norway shows Good King Henry seeds in food preparation areas, confirming this was a cultivated crop rather than merely foraged wild food. For today's permaculture enthusiasts and lazy gardeners, Good King Henry offers something remarkable, a perennial vegetable that provides 3 different harvests without replanting, fertilizing, or pest control plant at once, in partial shade with decent soil, and it returns faithfully for 10 to 15 years. The plant tolerates temperatures down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, -40 degrees Celsius, and actually prefers cooler climates where other vegetables struggle. It's like having asparagus, spinach, and broccoli combined into one indestructible plant that thrives on neglect. But Good King Henry wasn't the only multi-purpose plant Vikings cultivated. Another perennial provided both food and powerful medicine that modern science is only beginning to understand: Elecampane, Inula helenium, the respiratory remedy that grew like a sunflower. Long before cough syrups and antibiotics, Vikings cultivated Elecampane, a towering perennial with bright yellow flowers and massive roots that served as both food and medicine. This impressive plant from the aster family could reach heights of 6 feet, 1.8 meters, producing roots up to 12 inches, 30 centimeters long, that Vikings candied for treats or processed into medicinal preparations that kept respiratory systems healthy through brutal winters. What made Elecampane truly valuable was its dual nature as both sustenance and healing. The thick, fleshy roots had a slightly bitter, aromatic flavor that Vikings enhanced with honey, creating candied roots that functioned as both dessert and medicine. The roots could also be dried and ground into flour, adding aromatic complexity to breads and porridges. But the real treasure was Elecampane's remarkable effect on respiratory health. Viking healers used it to treat the persistent coughs and lung congestion that plagued communities living in cold, damp conditions. The chemistry behind this is remarkable. Modern research, published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, confirms that Elecampane roots contain high concentrations of inulin, up to 44% by weight, along with essential oils rich in allantolactone and isoallantolactone, compounds with proven antibacterial, antifungal, and expectorant properties. These compounds help clear mucus from lungs while fighting the infections that cause respiratory problems. Studies have shown that Elecampane extracts are effective against bacteria that cause tuberculosis and other respiratory infections, validating centuries of traditional use. For modern families dealing with seasonal respiratory challenges, Elecampane offers something pharmaceutical companies don't want you discovering: a perennial medicine that grows like a weed and actually works. Plant it once in rich, moist soil and harvest roots in fall after 2 to 3 years of growth. The roots can be made into syrups, tinctures, or simply candied with honey for a traditional Viking remedy. It's like having a natural pharmacy growing in your garden that's more effective than over-the-counter cough medicines. While Elecampane protected Viking lungs, another plant protected their entire digestive system with compounds that modern science is only beginning to appreciate. Alexander's, Smyrnium olusitrum, the Roman import, that Vikings perfected. Long before celery became the standard aromatic vegetable, Vikings were growing Alexanders, a biennial from the Apiaceae family that provided edible leaves, stems, roots, flower buds, and seeds. This versatile plant, introduced to northern Europe by Roman traders, found its true calling in Viking gardens, where every part of the plant served multiple purposes throughout the growing season. What made Alexander's special was its complete edibility and intense, complex flavor. The young leaves added peppery, celery-like notes to spring salads. The stems, when blanched by earthing up, developed a tender texture and mild flavor, perfect for cooking like asparagus. The roots, harvested in the plant's first year, could be boiled or roasted like parsnips. Even the flower buds, picked before opening, were prepared like broccoli. Vikings had essentially cultivated a 5-in-1 vegetable that provided fresh food from early spring through late fall. Modern nutritional analysis reveals why this forgotten vegetable deserves rediscovery. According to research by the University of Edinburgh, Alexander's contains exceptional levels of vitamin C, higher than oranges, along with significant amounts of potassium, calcium, and unique compounds called furanocoumarins that demonstrate antimicrobial properties. The plant also contains apigenin, a flavonoid that modern research shows supports healthy inflammation response and may protect against certain cancers. Archaeological evidence from Viking Age sites in Britain and Ireland shows Alexander's seeds in food preparation areas, confirming Norse settlers cultivated this plant wherever they established communities. For today's adventurous gardeners, Alexander's offers something unique, a self-seeding biennial that provides multiple harvests without replanting. The plant thrives in partial shade and tolerates coastal conditions, making it perfect for areas where other vegetables struggle. Once established, it self-seeds reliably, creating a perpetual supply of this versatile vegetable. It's like having 5 different vegetables growing from one plant that maintains itself without your help. But Alexander's wasn't the only self-sufficient plant Vikings valued. Another biennial provided roots so nutritious that modern superfoods can't compete. Salsify, Tragopogon porifolius, the oyster-flavored root that tastes like the sea. Long before anyone shipped seafood inland, Vikings were growing salsify, a remarkable root vegetable with a flavor so similar to oysters that it earned the nickname oyster plant. This biennial from the aster family produced long white taproots measuring 8 to 12 inches, 20 to 30 centimeters, that provided inland communities with seafood-like flavor and exceptional nutrition during the long months when fresh fish was unavailable. What made salsify extraordinary was its unique flavor profile combined with remarkable storage capability. The slender white roots, when properly cooked, developed a delicate, slightly sweet taste, with distinct oyster-like undertones that made simple winter meals feel luxurious. Vikings could harvest salsify roots in late fall and store them in cool cellars for months, or leave them in the ground through winter and harvest as needed. The roots actually improved in flavor after frost exposure, becoming sweeter and more tender. Modern science has revealed why salsify deserves its superfood status. According to research published in the Journal of Food Composition and Analysis, salsify contains exceptional levels of inulin, up to 20% by weight, the same prebiotic fiber that supports healthy gut bacteria and doesn't spike blood sugar. The roots also deliver significant amounts of potassium, important for heart health, vitamin C, vitamin B6, and unique polyphenols with antioxidant properties. 1 cup of cooked salsify provides more fiber than most vegetables, while supporting digestive health in ways that modern processed foods completely fail to deliver. For today's gourmet cooks and health enthusiasts, salsify offers something remarkable, a root vegetable that tastes exotic, but grows like a weed. Plant seeds in spring in deep, loose soil and harvest roots the following fall after 120 to 150 days. The roots can be roasted, fried, or added to stews where they provide both nutrition and that distinctive oyster-like flavor. It's like having a seafood substitute growing in your garden that's actually healthier than the real thing. While salsify provided oyster flavor, our next discovery offered something even more impressive, a root that could survive being completely frozen and still provide nutrition. Remember how we started by talking about vegetables so resilient that big agriculture tried to ban them? These 9 forgotten crops prove exactly why corporations fear Viking agricultural knowledge. Each one thrives without chemicals, returns year after year, and delivers nutrition that makes modern GMOs look like nutritional jokes. But the next 7 discoveries are even more remarkable. Rampion, Campanula punculus, the fairy tale root that powered real warriors. Long before Rapunzel made Rampion famous in fairy tales, Vikings were cultivating this delicate biennial for its sweet, crisp roots and tender leaves. This member of the bellflower family produced small white roots, approximately 4 to 6 inches, 10 to 15 centimeters long, with a flavor described as a cross between radish and hazelnut, mild enough for children, but nutritious enough to sustain warriors. What made Rampion special was its dual harvest and exceptional mineral content. Vikings consumed the young leaves in early spring salads, providing fresh greens when winter stores were depleted. The roots, harvested in the plant's first fall, offered a crunchy, slightly sweet vegetable that could be eaten raw or cooked. Unlike many root vegetables that become woody or bitter with age, Rampion roots maintained their delicate texture and pleasant flavor throughout storage. Modern nutritional analysis reveals why this forgotten vegetable deserves rediscovery. According to research by the University of Göttingen, Rampion roots contain exceptional levels of magnesium, essential for bone health and muscle function, along with significant amounts of calcium, potassium, and inulin. The leaves provide high concentrations of vitamin C and beta-carotene. The plant also contains unique saponins that support healthy cholesterol levels and provide anti-inflammatory benefits. Archaeological evidence from medieval gardens throughout Scandinavia shows Rampion was deliberately cultivated, not merely foraged. For today's gardeners seeking unusual vegetables, Rampion offers something delightful, a mild-flavored root that children actually enjoy eating. The plant grows easily from seed, tolerates partial shade, and requires minimal care beyond consistent moisture. Harvest leaves in spring and roots in fall for a two-season vegetable that provides both greens and roots from one planting. It's like having two vegetables in one package, both mild enough for picky eaters, but nutritious enough to matter. But Rampion's mildness was balanced by another Viking vegetable that delivered intense flavor and powerful medicinal compounds: horseradish, Armoracia rusticana, the sinus-clearing condiment that preserved everything. Long before refrigeration, Vikings were using horseradish, a perennial root with such intense, fiery compounds that it could preserve meat, clear sinuses, and wake up taste buds that had been dulled by months of bland winter food. This member of the Brassica family produced thick, white roots, measuring 12 to 18 inches, 30 to 46 centimeters long, that contained some of nature's most powerful antimicrobial compounds. What made horseradish truly Viking-worthy was its dual role as both condiment and preservative. The grated root, mixed with vinegar or salt, created a paste so pungent it could mask the flavor of meat that was starting to turn while simultaneously killing the bacteria causing spoilage. Vikings also recognized horseradish's medicinal properties, using it to treat respiratory infections, digestive problems, and even as a poultice for joint pain. The plant's compounds were so powerful they could literally make your eyes water and clear your sinuses instantly. The chemistry behind horseradish is remarkable. Modern research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirms that horseradish contains exceptionally high levels of glucosinolates, sulfur-containing compounds that break down into isothiocyanates when the root is grated. These compounds demonstrate powerful antibacterial, antifungal, and even anti-cancer properties. Studies show that horseradish extracts are effective against E. coli, salmonella, and other foodborne pathogens, validating Viking use of this root as a food preservative. The plant also contains high levels of vitamin C and various minerals that support immune function. For modern homesteaders and food preservers, horseradish offers something pharmaceutical companies can't replicate: a perennial antimicrobial that grows more aggressively than most weeds. Plant a single root cutting in rich, moist soil, and within 2 years, you'll have more horseradish than you can use. The plant survives temperatures from minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 40 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, and actually prefers cold winters. It's like having a natural antibiotic and food preservative growing in your garden that never needs replanting. While horseradish protected food from spoilage, another plant protected Vikings from something even more dangerous: vitamin deficiency during endless winter darkness. Sorrel, Rumex acetosa, the lemony green, that prevented scurvy centuries before citrus. Long before lemons reached northern Europe, Vikings had sorrel, a perennial green with such intense lemony tartness that it could brighten the heaviest winter stew while delivering the vitamin C essential for preventing scurvy. This hardy member of the buckwheat family was so important to Norse cuisine that the Sami people borrowed their word for sorrel directly from Old Norse, proving this plant was a crucial part of Viking food culture. What made sorrel extraordinary was its timing and resilience. This plant is one of the first greens to emerge in early spring, often pushing through snow to provide fresh, vitamin-rich leaves exactly when winter-weary bodies needed them. Most Vikings could harvest sorrel continuously from early spring through late fall, and the plant returned reliably year after year without replanting. The sharp, lemony taste came from oxalic acid, the same compound that gives rhubarb its tartness, which Vikings used to cut through rich, fatty foods and make preserved meats more palatable. Modern nutritional analysis confirms what Vikings knew intuitively. According to research by the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, sorrel contains higher concentrations of vitamin C than most leafy greens, along with exceptional levels of vitamin A, iron, and magnesium. The plant also contains significant amounts of antioxidants, including quercetin and kaempferol, which modern studies show support cardiovascular health and reduce inflammation. Archaeological evidence from Viking settlements shows sorrel was cultivated in kitchen gardens, not merely foraged, indicating its importance as a reliable vitamin source. For today's gardeners seeking low-maintenance perennials, sorrel offers something remarkable: a self-sufficient green that provides fresh, tangy leaves for 10 to 15 years without replanting. The plant tolerates partial shade, poor soil, and temperatures down to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 40 degrees Celsius. Harvest outer leaves continuously, and the plant keeps producing. It's like having a perennial lemon tree that thrives in northern climates and requires zero maintenance beyond occasional harvesting. But sorrel wasn't the only perennial green Vikings valued. Another plant provided leaves so nutritious that modern superfoods pale in comparison. Nettle, Urtica dioica, the stinging superfood that Vikings took to the afterlife. Long before supplement companies sold iron pills and calcium tablets, Vikings were harvesting nettles, a perennial plant so nutritionally valuable that they buried bags of nettle seeds with their dead, as discovered in the famous Oseberg burial. This might seem strange until you understand that nettles contain more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, and more protein than most vegetables, making them literally worth taking into the afterlife. What made nettles truly special was the combination of extreme nutrition and complete indestructibility. When cooked or dried, the stinging hairs that give nettles their defensive reputation become harmless, revealing tender greens that taste like a richer, more flavorful version of spinach. Vikings used nettle leaves in soups, stews, and porridges, understanding that this plant provided essential minerals that were difficult to obtain during long winters. The young spring shoots, harvested when 6 to 8 inches, 15 to 20 centimeters tall, were particularly prized for their tender texture and concentrated nutrition. The nutritional profile of nettles is genuinely remarkable. According to research published in the Journal of Herbal Medicine, nettles contain up to 25% protein by dry weight, higher than most legumes. They deliver exceptional levels of iron, important for preventing anemia, calcium, essential for bone health, magnesium, potassium, and vitamins A, C, and K. The plant also contains unique compounds, including histamine, serotonin, and formic acid that, paradoxically, help reduce inflammation and allergic responses when consumed. Studies show that nettle extracts support joint health, reduce seasonal allergy symptoms, and promote healthy urinary tract function. For modern foragers and gardeners, nettles offer something pharmaceutical companies can't replicate: a free superfood that grows more aggressively than most cultivated vegetables. The plant thrives in rich, moist soil and spreads enthusiastically once established. Harvest young shoots in spring wearing gloves, then steam or sauté them like spinach. It's like having a self-planting multivitamin growing wild that's more nutritious than anything you can buy in stores. While nettles provided minerals, our next discovery offered something even more valuable: a vegetable that could be harvested fresh throughout winter. Kale, Brassica oleracea var hansabellica, the winter warrior that tastes better after frost. Long before kale became a trendy superfood, Vikings were cultivating hardy varieties that could survive temperatures down to minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 26 degrees Celsius, and actually improved in flavor after being frozen. This ancient member of the Brassica family wasn't the delicate salad green modern farmers sell. It was a tough, cold-adapted vegetable that provided fresh greens throughout winter when every other plant had died. What made Viking kale extraordinary was its complete defiance of winter conditions. While modern vegetables surrender at the first frost, traditional kale varieties like lacinato, also called dinosaur kale, and Siberian kale actually become sweeter and more tender after freezing. The cold temperatures trigger the plant to convert starches into sugars as a natural antifreeze, improving both flavor and texture. Vikings could harvest fresh kale leaves from snow-covered gardens throughout winter, providing crucial vitamins when stored foods offered little nutrition. Modern science has confirmed kale's superfood status, though Vikings never needed scientific validation. According to research by the USDA, kale contains more vitamin K per serving than any other vegetable, over 1,000% of daily requirements, along with exceptional levels of vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. The plant is particularly rich in glucosinolates, sulfur-containing compounds that break down into cancer-fighting substances when chewed. Studies published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry show that kale contains higher concentrations of antioxidants than almost any other vegetable, with levels that actually increase after frost exposure. For today's gardeners seeking true food security, Viking kale varieties offer something modern hybrids can't match: the ability to harvest fresh vegetables in January, plant cold hardy varieties like winter boar or red Russian in late summer, and they'll produce continuously through winter in zones 6 and warmer, or until heavy snow in colder zones. It's like having a vegetable garden that refuses to quit, providing fresh nutrition when grocery stores are shipping wilted greens from thousands of miles away. But kale's winter hardiness was matched by another brassica that Vikings valued for completely different reasons: turnip, Brassica rapa, the dual-purpose survivor that fed both humans and livestock. Long before potatoes reached Europe, Vikings relied on turnips, a fast-growing root vegetable that provided both human food and livestock fodder while thriving in the short, cool growing seasons of Scandinavia. This ancient brassica produced white or purple-topped roots measuring 3 to 6 inches, 7.6 to 15.2 centimeters, in diameter within just 60 to 90 days, making it one of the quickest sources of storable calories available to Norse farmers. What made turnips truly Viking-worthy was their complete versatility and reliability. The roots could be harvested young for tender, mild-flavored vegetables, or left to mature for storage roots that lasted through winter. The leafy tops, called turnip greens, provided nutritious cooked greens that Vikings harvested before root harvest. Even the mature roots that became too woody for human consumption could feed livestock through winter, making turnips a zero-waste crop. The plant tolerated poor soil, cold temperatures, and short growing seasons that would prevent other root vegetables from developing properly. Modern nutritional analysis reveals that we've underestimated this humble root. According to research published in the Journal of Food Science, turnips contain significant amounts of vitamin C. One medium turnip provides 30% of daily requirements, along with fiber, potassium, and calcium. The roots are particularly rich in glucosinolates, the same cancer-fighting compounds found in broccoli and kale. Turnip greens are even more nutritious, delivering exceptional levels of vitamins A, C, and K, along with calcium and iron. Archaeological evidence from Viking Age sites throughout Scandinavia shows turnip remains in storage pits and food preparation areas, confirming this was a staple crop. For modern homesteaders seeking fast-growing, reliable vegetables, turnips offer something remarkable: a complete food system in 60 days. Plant seeds in early spring or late summer for fall harvest. The greens can be harvested continuously, and the roots store for months in cool cellars. The plant tolerates temperatures down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, -7 degrees Celsius, and actually develops better flavor after light frost. It's like having a fast-forward button for your garden that produces both greens and roots from one planting. While turnips provided quick calories, our final discovery offered something even more valuable: a vegetable that could literally save lives during famine. Pignut, Conopodium majus, the hidden treasure that grew where nothing else could. Long before cultivated crops, Vikings were digging up pignuts, small, sweet tubers hidden underground in woodland edges and meadows where conventional agriculture was impossible. This member of the carrot family produced tubers measuring just 0.25 to 0.3 inches, 6 to 8 millimeters across, but what they lacked in size they made up for in flavor and accessibility. These tiny treasures tasted like a cross between hazelnuts and potatoes, providing concentrated nutrition from marginal land that couldn't support other crops. What made pignut truly valuable was its role as emergency food that required no cultivation. The tubers grew wild in forest clearings, along hedgerows, and in meadows throughout Scandinavia, providing a reliable backup food source during crop failures or sieges. Norwegian children were still digging up pignuts as snacks well into the 20th century. And during World War I, these tiny tubers were even used as almond substitutes in baking, proving their value. During times of scarcity, Vikings understood that pignut represented food security that couldn't be destroyed by raiders or ruined by bad weather. Modern nutritional analysis shows why these tiny tubers packed such value. According to research by the University of Bergen, pignuts contain high concentrations of starch and fiber, providing sustained energy without blood sugar spikes. The tubers also deliver significant amounts of potassium, phosphorus, and B vitamins. The slightly sweet, nutty flavor comes from natural sugars and oils that make pignuts palatable raw or cooked. Archaeological evidence suggests Vikings valued pignut as both food and trade item, with the knowledge of productive pignut patches passed down through generations like property deeds. For modern foragers and permaculture enthusiasts, pignut represents the ultimate low-maintenance food source, a perennial that produces edible tubers in partial shade, where other vegetables fail. While cultivation is challenging due to the plant's specific requirements, learning to identify and sustainably harvest wild pignuts provides access to free nutrition from land that seems unproductive. It's like having a secret food cache hidden in plain sight that no drought, frost, or economic collapse can destroy. These 16-band Viking vegetables represent more than just historical curiosities. They're proof that our ancestors understood resilience, nutrition, and sustainability in ways we've completely forgotten. While modern agriculture pushes genetically modified crops that require constant chemical inputs and perfect conditions, Vikings cultivated vegetables that thrived on neglect, returned year after year, and delivered superior nutrition without any of the industrial farming infrastructure we now consider essential. What's remarkable is how accessible these ancient varieties remain today. Many are available through heritage seed companies, grow wild in areas we've dismissed as waste ground, or survive in old gardens where they've been quietly producing for generations. No expensive inputs required, no patents to navigate, no dependency on agricultural corporations. Start with 1 or 2 vegetables that match your climate and growing conditions. Plant that Seabbeat along your coast, establish Lovage in a corner of your garden, or simply stop pulling up those nettles and start harvesting them instead. Before long, you'll have access to nutrition that money can't buy, and food security that doesn't depend on supply chains or corporate goodwill. And if you had a good time raiding the past with us today, do us a favor and pillage that like button and subscribe for more journeys into the fascinating and often surprising world of Midgard living.